Yesterday was a huge day of competitive Fortnite. We had the final round of the solo series qualifiers, and we now know the 400 players that will be going through to the heats round. And spoiler, MrSavage and Mongraal aren't on the list. I'll discuss all the players that did well, which EU pros made it on NA Central. We'll have a look at all the heats maps and see which pros are landing where. And I also want to talk about the Reload Cup that also happened yesterday as well. Let's get straight into it. So if you've forgotten how the solo series format works, we've had 4 weeks of qualifiers, but only the player's best week is counted. So essentially, all you needed was one big performance. Now, let's go over the EU top 10. In first place, we had Shxrk. Nobody is surprised by this. Shxrk is literally one of the best players on the region right now. I don't care if you tell me that he hasn't got a good grand placement, because that is so obviously coming soon. That first FNCS in April, he is a genuine contender to win it with Teeny. Shxrk is just ridiculously good. He won the Nvidia Cup the other day by like 150 points or something crazy like that. When it comes to solos, I don't think there's many players on EU that can hold up to him. He is just ridiculously good. So intelligent, so good at fighting. He's only 14 years old. He's a prospect, but as I've said in previous videos, it almost feels disrespectful to label him as a prospect because he's so far beyond that. He is just an excellent player. Like, nobody's shocked to see him at the top of the leaderboard. He just has so much quality, and he will be one of the main favourites to win the overall solo series. In second place, we've got Malabuka. If you watched during Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, you'll know how good at solos he is. He's always been the top player at this mode. No surprises to see him in second. Third place, Flixie, obviously another top pro. It definitely is a stacked top 10, by the way. It's not like one of the off-season tournaments where there's been a lot of random players placing. This tournament has shown that the top players are locked in at the moment. Scroll and Velo in 4th and 5th. These are guys that I've spoken about a lot lately because they've been working exceptionally hard. I see these guys on the leaderboards for NA Central, for NA West, earning money in the Victory Cups. Indeed, Scroll and Velo actually played a West Reload Victory Cup together and won by skybasing. These guys are working really hard. And as I've said a couple of times, hard work does always pay off in Fortnite competitive, and we're seeing the results of that now. 4th and 5th, it's excellent from them. Sky and Scroll are going to do great this year. King, Coringe and Velo are going to do great. They're going to make their first major grand finals, and I'm sure they're going to do well in it. Kolb ended up coming in 6th. He's someone who's been doing really well over the past week. If you missed the Reload Elite series, in the first session, him and Peshka actually came first. So they are currently top of the leaderboard for that. What's more, he actually finished top yesterday if we just count week 4 of the qualifiers. Obviously he's 6th in the overall leaderboard here, but 2 firsts in the space of a week. Really impressive stuff from Kolb. Fair play to him. We've got a bunch of other high-level solo players in the top 10. Cami in 7th, Demus in 8th, Pablo Wingu, who recently signed for Havoc, in 9th, and Haris in 10th. The first and second place players from the last solo series were Karama and FishyX. They both also managed to qualify, coming in 22nd and 25th respectively. We also had a bunch of big pros very nearly miss out. Veno and Queasy were only 2 points off not qualifying for the finals, which is crazy to think, but listen, all that counts is making it in the top 400. It doesn't matter what place you come, they are free. We also had Higgs qualify. Nice to see some NA pros doing well on EU. Obviously we're used to the inverse being true, as EU pros do typically perform on NA Central, and I'll go through a full list of the EU qualifiers on NA in a second. Nice to see the reverse happening though. Nice to see Higgs doing well. He is someone that consistently wakes up early for EU, works hard, devotes time to the region. Nice to see the rewards paying off, and I do hope he does well. I did promise at the start of the video that we had some big pros miss out. 2 of them were of course Mongraal and MrSavage. Now, they weren't that far off qualification. It was top 400 to qualify. Mongraal ended up coming in 551st. Savage marginally better in 527th. So not a million miles off. Just an unfortunate final day for both of them. It could have very easily been a qualification had a couple of things gone their way. I don't think they'll be too upset about this. They still played well, and they're still looking great for duos, but a small setback. The other big EU pro that failed to make it was Vidil. He was agonisingly close, coming in 415th. He finished on 341 points, which was actually the points needed to qualify, but there were so many players on that threshold that he just didn't get into the top 400. very unfortunate. Now, as I already mentioned, the format for this rewards having one good week rather than consistency. But what if the leaderboard did reward consistency? What if it was a combined total of all the players' scores across the 4 weeks? Who would be on top? Luckily, Kinch has come in clutch by making that, so let's have a look at it now. As you can see, in first place we have Foczka. If you've been watching my recent videos, you'll know how highly I rate Foczka. He currently plays in a duo with Trucio, and they are very quietly going about their business as one of the best up-and-coming duos in the EU. I always see them near the top of leaderboards, winning games in victory cups. They've looked great lately, and I'm glad Foczka can hopefully get some attention from this. He is a top pro in his own right. Finishing first, hugely impressive. He did only actually manage 29th in the actual leaderboard, which shows the difference between having one good week and having consistency. I thought that was interesting to mention. You can also see Alba finished 6th on this list. She came 75th in the actual rankings, purely based on the one good week. So definitely interesting to see the differences in playstyles there. I'm aware that a lot of pros will have had a good week in the first qualifier and then maybe eased up a bit. So yes, these consistency points are, you know, taken with a pinch of salt. They're not entirely reflective, but still, I want to give credit to Foczka for coming in first. Very good stuff. Right, now let's have a look at the heats maps. Now, depending on whether players get banned, these maps are subject to change. They are only provisional, but I'm not expecting to see too many alterations to them. I've not actually looked at these yet. I wanted to react to them blindly, so let's just get straight into the heat 1 map and see what it's looking like. So the first thing I have to say is that Shxrk is uncontested at Wonky Land, and that definitely isn't going to stay that way. Yes, he's uncontested now, but in a week's time, when the event happens on the Saturday, someone's going to land on him. And they're going to regret it because I'm sure they'll die off spawn because Shxrk is a different level, but that's definitely going to happen. Taking a look, I can see that Vanya is uncontested. Veno looking like he might have someone landing near him, but they are in the lower portion of the map, so might just be some free surge for him. Honestly, looking at these heats maps right now, it's just for a bit of fun. I'm not going to be analysing them in too much depth because, as I said, they are subject to change. Players are going to be changing their drop spots right up until the weekend. But it is interesting to take a look at them. Let's go and have a look at heat map 2. I can see a bunch of players splitting POIs. Haris and Skabi splitting Lethal Labs. We've got Franek and Dom at the Christmas POI. Not sure if TD and Turtle are splitting Wonky Land. I would imagine they probably are. Yeah, that's looking like a stacked heat 2. Looking at heat 3, I can see that Rax and Sabari are splitting Riptides. You've got Mixon and Hari splitting Bumpy Bay. And looking at heat 4, it's a similar story. Over at Riptides, you've got the duo of Focus and Thomas HD splitting it, whilst at Bumpy Bay, more Polish players, but this time it's Kombek and Kashi. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun looking at these heats. I'll leave them up on the screen so you guys can have a look at who's landing where. Yes, they're subject to change. Yes, we've got a couple of days until the tournament, but it's interesting to look at them. Right, now let's move on over to NA Central. And what I have done is I've compiled a list of all the EU pros that managed to qualify. So I'm just going to read through the list. If you find this boring, then apologies, but I'm quite interested in it, so I'm just going to read it. In 4th place, we had Karama. He was the highest placing EU pro on NA, just like last time. Credit to him. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys how good Karama is at solos. If you know anything about EU Fortnite, then you'll be aware of that. He's ridiculously good on high ping. His playstyle is very consistent. Yeah, he'll do well in this tournament. He'll surely make it through his heat. In 66th and 67th, we've got 2 more French pros, Podesai and Akira, credit to them. Then we've got Scary Sean, the Spanish player, in 72nd, Hari in 88th and Cade in 94th. So that is 6 players from EU inside the top 100 on NA. Let's quickly run through the rest of the guys that qualified. I'm just going to be quick here. We've got King Cringe, Malabuka, Nazix, Cynix, Costa Nenok, who's the player that Reese Hub has made a bunch of videos about, who only carries 1 gun and has some interesting strategies in solos. He's managed to make it. We've also got Velry, Scroll, who I mentioned earlier, the hard work paying off, Zynox, Cool, the Egyptian player. I'm counting Egypt as EU there. I know that might seem controversial, but he has the same ping to Middle East as he does to EU. Generally, I count Egyptian players as EU. Matikan from Sweden, Moneymaker also from Sweden. We had Act, Shaykos, Nako, Josh75, Gold, Ziandi, Paseve, the Spanish player, Waves, and Zestful. Right, if you got all that, then fair play. Big credit to all of those players for making it. That's 26 players from EU qualified on NA Central, unless I've missed any, in which case let me know in the comments. Yeah, good performance from the EU guys there. Hopefully we can see a good number of them qualify top 25 in their heats and make it to the grand finals. Right, enough talk about solos. If you made it through that section of me just listing EU players that made it on NA Central, then you're clearly a true fan of EU competitive. Thank you for watching the video. Now, let's get into the Reload Cup that we also had yesterday. So there was a bit of confusion about this. I mentioned in the last video that it is now top 20 players that qualify to the finals of these Reload Cup victory format events. Except with this one, it was still top 300, which was the old format. And the reason for this is because it was rescheduled from a while back, so it still had the previous format. This did lead to a lot of confusion. Queasy was out of the top 20 and started not taking the cup seriously before realizing that he actually could still have qualified had he locked in and made top 300. But listen, this is the only cup that we're going to be seeing that in. All of the ones going forward will be top 20. We will have set lobby finals. Right, we had 3 teams double win on EU. The first one being Fiat and Fedis. I know nothing about these guys, I'll be completely straight up with you. Hopefully they're legitimate players. It doesn't seem like they're not. It seems like they're completely fine. So credit to them for the 2 wins. 2 teams that I do know a lot about though, the first being Akira and Karama. Them managing 2 wins is not a surprise at all. We all know how good they are in Victory Cup formats, and they really seem to be making their mark in Reload. Because Reload is in its infancy as a competitive game mode, we're not yet kind of familiar with what teams are very good at it, but I would say that Akira and Karama, from looking at the leaderboards, are one of the teams that perform highly in the mode constantly. You've got guys like Sky and Scroll, King Cringe and Velo that are also very good too. So credit to Akira and Karama. As I said, no one's surprised that they did well in the Victory Cup because they are so consistent. We also had Syned and Giras win 2 games. Not a duo that I expected to do so well. I really like both of these players. I thought Giras was great last year with Dinas and Franek, and Syned is a top pro too. If I'm being honest, I fully expected Giras to play with a Polish player, someone like a Dinas or a Franek, maybe like a sort of a fraggy fighter type player, which I'm not saying Syned isn't a fighter, but it's an interesting dynamic. It's fluid, that's for sure. I know Giras is a hard IGL, but Syned is also someone that can look after himself in endgame and will make calls. So credit to these guys for managing 2 wins, very impressive stuff, and I'm excited to see how they do in the divisional cups. And a quick note for the Mongraal and MrSavage fans that will be watching, neither of them managed to qualify in the top 300 and thus they didn't make finals. No money earned for MrSavage and Mixon, nor for Mongraal and Turtle. Right, before I get into some miscellaneous news, I have a point of analysis I would like to make about Reload. Strap yourselves in. I just mentioned that Reload is in its infancy and as such has a lot of growing and developing to do, and I feel like people aren't kind of considering that enough. In my opinion, in the next few months, this game mode will be completely unrecognizable in terms of the strategies and tactics surrounding it. Obviously, prior to the announcement of the Reload Elite series, Reload was just viewed as a bit of fun. There wasn't a huge amount of money involved in it. Indeed, there were hardly any tournaments, so it wasn't something that you really needed to work hard on as a pro. Now, with the announcement of the $2.5 million Reload Elite series, every professional player needs to be competent at Reload. We're going to see huge developments in strategies, in tactics, and I'm super excited for that. What got me thinking about this is that I was watching a YouTube video by Josh Scammell, and he was talking about Shxrk and Kolb, who are obviously first place at the moment in the Reload Elite Series qualifiers, and he was VOD reviewing their game, and he noticed that they didn't even know about the supply drop zone forecasting strategy. If you don't know about that, wherever the supply drops land in the later zones, that is where zone will go. They didn't even react to that in the game. They just stayed where they were, and they were on the far side of zone, but they went on to win the tournament. And the point I guess I'm trying to make is they can afford to make mistakes like that and they still won. This mode has so much growing to do. The skill gap is going to increase so much. I do believe that Reload is going to massively evolve over the next few months, and I'm super excited to see it. Now let's get into some other news as promised. Let's talk about Havoc. They let a couple of players go. Nathan is no longer on the org, the English controller player. His results over the past few months haven't been too good. He was someone who had a very good end to 2024, a decent start to 2025, and then it all just kind of fell off a little bit. I'm aware that he did well in Major 3 with CZB and Axe Force. They were actually in Global's qualification range after the first day. They fell off on the second day and unfortunately didn't make it. But Nathan, not someone who's been having too many high placements as of late, but he is still the top pro and there's no reason why he can't regain his past form. But he has now left Havoc. Snazy also left as a player, but he has been retained in an ambassador role. Not 100% sure what that involves, but fair play to him. In other org news, Chap and Flixie are heavily linked with the Chinese org, All Gamers. We'll have to see if they sign. And finally, a note on the Esports World Cup. We have official confirmation that XSET will not be participating as an org. They will not be getting points towards the overall leaderboard from Fortnite. So this is another reason why Savage and Veno splitting made so much sense, because there was no real incentive for them to play together as XSET members. They could just find their own teammates. Obviously Veno is now with Pixie, Savage is with Mixon. That's the resolution. If you've got this far in the video, then comment below who you think the most underrated pro in EU is, and I'll know that you've watched the whole thing and that you're a true fan of EU competitive Fortnite. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel as I make these videos every few days to keep you guys up to date on everything that happens in EU. If you want to support me further, then using code SPUDSON in the Fortnite item shop is a great way to do that. It's much appreciated. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.